right, dudes. So we are going to go back over place value really quickly because it's going to have to do with your math lesson. So you already know this, so just make sure you follow along. And if you get stuck or if you get really confused, please rewatch this. That's the point of me making them, right? So that you're not super confused, you're not super messed up for the rest of the day, okay? So let's talk about this one for now. If we're talking about place value, right? Because that's talking about each number has a specific place, and that place changes how much it is worth or the value, right? So if I'm looking at this number and I'm talking about, let's just say I'm talking about the 2. What place is the 2 in this number? Hopefully somebody said hundreds, right? This is a hundreds place. And you have a paper somewhere that tells you all of this, okay? So just because I'm telling you again doesn't mean you don't already have it, because you do have it. What if I'm talking about this 5? Do not say a million, because it's not. Think about it. Remember, if it goes blank, blank, hundreds, then it says something, something, something else. 100 what? 1,000. I hope somebody said that. All right, what about the 3? Ones. Easy peasy. What about this 7? Thousands. What about the 4? It's your favorite. You say it all the time. Millions. Just gonna put mil. What about the 9? The 10s. And your 6? The 10,000s. Now remember, the most important part for today's lesson that you need to think about are the first 3, the ones, 10s, and hundreds. But we just went back and reviewed all the rest of them because we have already gone over all the rest of them. So remember, the ones that are important for today are the 3 place values over here.
The hundreds place, the tens place, and the ones place.
In a 3-digit number. Hundreds, tens, ones. Okay? That's what's important for today. Okay. This is very similar to the Google Docs you are about to fill out. Each of you have your own, and this is how it works. So, you are going to have a chart up at the top, and it's going to say addition with no regrouping, addition with regrouping in the tens place, and addition with regrouping in the 100s place. Okay? So, remember, when we talked about addition, we talked about how sometimes, we talked about this yesterday, we talked about how sometimes you have to regroup, and sometimes it changes depending on the place value and depending on where you have to regroup, okay? So, the way it's going to look is you're going to have a chart. It's going to have these 3 boxes, no regrouping, tens place, 100s place, okay? And down at the bottom, you're going to have 12 different buttons that you have to move into the correct grid, into the correct spot. It's not going to tell you which one's correct, but you just have to do it. So you'll have another piece of paper that has the questions on it also, where you're going to show me your work, okay? So, for example, if you have 567 plus 111, on your regular sheet of paper, it's going to be written out the same way, but you need to rewrite it out the way that we talked about yesterday. 567 plus 111, just like that. And remember, you start in the ones place and you work your way over. So you'll start with 7 and 1, which would give you 8. Did we have to regroup there? Hopefully you said no. Then we move to the tens place, and we add 6 and 1. But what does the 6 really stand for? 60. And what does the 1 really stand for? 10. Perfect. So when I'm adding those together, 6 and 1, I get 7, which really stands for 70. Did I have to regroup there? Hopefully you said no. So then we move on to the last one, which is the hundreds place, right? So you have a 5 and a 1, right? What does the 5 really stand for? I hope you said 500. What does the 1 really stand for? I hope you said 100. So 5 plus 1 equals 6. And 6 really stands for 600. Correct. So, did we have to do any regrouping in that problem? Hopefully you said no. So you would click this with your mouse. You're going to click it and you're going to drag it all the way up to the part where it says no regrouping. So you will move this box into this part of the grid. And it'll say it's not going to change anything, but you will move it away from right here. And you move it into the correct spot on the grid. And remember, this is on another sheet of paper that you also will have to show me your work. So you just click it, hold it down, and move it up to the part in the grid where it belongs. So let's look at the next one. 223 plus 679. Right? So if I'm doing this number, you know what? Let's change that to a 1. So we're really doing 213 plus 679. So if I am doing 213 plus 679, then I would start once again with the ones place, right? So my 3 and my 9. And what is 3 plus 9? I hope somebody says 12. So you put the 2 down at the bottom and you bring your 1 up here to the top because you're really carrying over a 10. And so you add all 3 of those numbers together. So you add all 3 of those numbers together. The 7, the 1, and the other 1. So 7, 8, 9. Then you come to the 100s place. 6, 7, 8, which really stands for 800. So where did you regroup? Which place value? I'm hoping you said the tens place. So the tens place is where you regrouped. So in this situation, you would move this box up into the tens place. And remember, this is all in the Google Docs, okay? The buttons are on there. The questions are on there. All you have to do is click it and drag it into the box that matches. And you just have to show me your work on the other paper. Okay? So then we look at the last one. Then we look at the last one, which is 245 plus 382. And we start at the ones place and do 5 plus 2, and we'll get 7. Go to the tens place, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But in this case, we have to regroup. We have to put the 1 over the other side of the hundreds place, and then the 2 stays down at the bottom. So then we add all 3 of those numbers. 3, 4, 5, 6. 627. So which numbers did you have to regroup in? Which place? The 100s place. So you would take this button, hold it down, and drag it all the way up to the 100s place box. And leave it be. Okay? And remember, this work is going to be on a separate sheet of paper. It'll have the same questions. It'll just be on a separate sheet of paper. So you have to turn this in when you do this. Okay? Make sense? You're doing it at the same time. I'm going to put sort of a description of that in for the sub. So if you're really, really confused by the end of it, you can always ask her. You can always ask her for help. If you really don't understand it, then go back to the beginning of the video. Watch it again. If you're struggling with your adding, go back to the beginning of the video. Watch it again. That's why I'm making the videos, okay? So do the math work. After you get done with the math work, you can do I ready, okay? But it should take you a little bit to finish all these questions. Please don't rush through it. Please pay attention to what you're doing, okay? Got it? All right, get to work.